All right, you guys, podcast time. We got the equipment and the perfect business plan. Give our show away for free and tell no one how to find it. Ready?
Welcome to another episode of the Brand X Podcast, episode 76. I'm one of your hosts, John. Alongside me, Deuce.
Stop, bitches.
And it's a snowing outside.
Yep. Too much snow.
Yeah, it's like every weekend thing now.
Yeah, they were brining the living hell out of the roads like 3 or 4 days ago, and I was, what are they doing besides making my car messy?
Exactly.
And evidently they knew about this snowstorm, but I didn't. Yeah, I went to work today, and they said, "Well, we're expecting snow around 1." I was, what?
Yeah, I know.
Snow.
I came up at 3 o'clock, and I was like, "Where the hell did this come from?"
Yeah, just like
I wasn't even. I guess it's so funny. I don't really listen to news. I really don't listen to the weather. I guess I'm in my own little cocoon.
Mm-hmm. I noticed since my mom died, that's why I'm always surprised when it snows, because she lived on the Weather Channel.
Oh.
She would call up like, well, next Thursday they're talking like, Mom, that's like 8 days out. And, yeah, well, this thing could happen. And she like lived for the Weather Channel in the wintertime.
I used to love the Weather Channel when hurricanes or big events I would live on the Weather Channel.
Because they're not big events no more.
Well, I don't have it anymore. In other words, I don't have cable anymore, so I don't have the Weather Channel. I have it on my phone.
I got you.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore.
It dominates the whole cable.
Right. I used to love that kind of stuff. Well, I still do. I just don't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you were shocked about my public apology.
Yeah, well, yeah.
How about that?
If you let me talk 18 podcasts ago.
Well, I really sat and I really sat and thought about this whole thing about how can somebody be so wrong, or why was I so wrong, or what happened? What were the
Just so everyone knows what we're talking about. We're talking about John's reversal on net neutrality.
Net neutrality. Yes. I'm glad they repealed it.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's put it this way.
Well, it was never enacted.
I don't give a fuck that I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah.
Like yesterday when they repealed it and the internet just exploded.
Yeah.
Like everybody on the internet, like, oh, that's it. We won't have any more internet. This is horrible. We're going to march. We're going to march.
I was waiting to hear March with me. I was looking for that video of that person, because I don't know, still to this day, I don't know whether it was a man or a woman.
No!
When Trump said, right. I will hold up the concert, and whatever, screamed, and I was like, oh, where's that person at, But they never even enacted those. They were proposed in 2015. Right. They never really went into effect, and they just said, no, we're just not going to do this. We're going to leave it the way it's been the last 25 years or whatever.
So really, to be honest with you, so now, all right, so let me...
There's much to do about nothing.
Let me peel it all back and let you know what I thought about this whole thing. So for me, when you're talking about news or information, you go to somebody you trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Confirmation bias.
There you go. You go to somebody you trust, all right? And I was listening to people, podcasters and stuff like that, and they're like, this is horrible. This is going to do this. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be able to podcast anymore and all this. And I'm like, I don't know much, but that's bad. Mm-hmm. That's bad.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's right in your wheelhouse.
Exactly. And you think that the people that are talking about this.
You don't know where they're getting their research.
You have no idea where they're getting their research.
Right.
So I've mentioned this podcast before. I love it. It's the Congressional Dish. Mm-hmm. Her name's Jen Briney. She has been doing this podcast for 5 years now. She is a political junkie. She'll sit home on a Friday night and sit and watch C-SPAN and watch committees talking about stuff for bills. And she reads all the bills and she breaks them down in a very common layman's terms about what's going on. I don't think she's biased. I think she puts, from both sides. But see, this is what I find, that conservatives think that she's liberal and liberals think she's conservative.
I haven't read or listened to anything else, so I don't have an opinion one way or the other.
Right. So she put out an episode on net neutrality, and I listened to the whole thing, and she broke it down from the beginning and what's going on. And And then I was like, well, this is a big to-do over nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is not what I thought it was at all.
Strange I wasn't tagged in that apology, but hey.
It's not all about you, okay? It's not all about you.
Oh, in this instance, it is.
I just didn't insult you. I insulted many more people than just you over this net neutrality thing.
Mm-hmm.
So then this all went crazy. And I'm in a lot of podcasting groups on Facebook. Of course, with my newfound knowledge, I am ready to educate the masses. Okay? So somebody puts a post up and says, what do podcasters think about net neutrality? And I'm like, a lot to do about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was attacked.
Fancy that.
Right? And I was like,
well, that's your usual fallback position, is the defending it from an attack.
Right. So again, trying to be the kinder, gentler John, I just explained my position. I said, listen, I listened to this podcast. Here it is. Here's a link. Go listen to it before you go losing your mind. I was like you know, before I listened to this. And there's a lot that can come from this. All right. I started to think about this. Why do I want the FCC handling what's
exactly
the internet? I mean, look what they did to radio.
Mm-hmm.
And they already want to censor the internet. A politician can't stand free speech and a free narrative that they can't control.
Well, that's what I told you. That's what net neutrality is all about. It was about control. But they hide them behind these Orwellian doublespeak terms like net neutrality, because who could possibly be against neutrality?
Right.
You know, and that's how they suck people in.
And then Jen was talking about Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattanooga, Tennessee decided, guess what? We're going to go out and we're going to spend money. The whole town decided to go and spend money and they're going to wire the whole town and suburbs and all the area around. Everybody would get high-speed internet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They would have to pay for it, but you know, and they were getting, now I get 100 megabytes up and 100 megabytes down here. I have Verizon. They were getting a gigabyte up and a gigabyte. That's like a snap. That's how fast that is.
Right. Instantaneous.
Everybody gets it there. And they can charge them $75 a month for that. I pay $66 here for 100.
Right.
So then they're talking about, well, there's going to be, you know, the tier, and you're going to have to pay for Facebook, and you have to pay for YouTube and all that. So I started thinking about this. Already I'm paying the tiers because with Verizon, I have Fios. I can get 25, 50, 75, 100, 200. I can get up to 200. I don't need 200. 100 seems to work fine. It was, you know, for podcasting, everything. And especially streaming. So everybody can see how clear our dungeon looks now. We have a new camera angle. We're just going to move the camera around every week. We're going to have a camera
until you're happy.
Honestly,
because I'll never be happy.
First of all, I don't give a little tangent.
A fiddler's F.
I don't give a fiddler's F about video. I don't care. After I saw my big fat face and my jiggly turkey neck in that last podcast, and my eyes and my head bouncing up and down because my bouncing my legs.
Can't stop moving your feet.
I can't stop my leg. I cannot stop my leg. I don't want video. So then I put up a poll, and I said, if we just put up a placard and you couldn't see us, but you could hear us. Kind of like what people do with Mixler.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see people on Mixler, but you can hear them. You can sit there and hear them.
Right.
Would you listen or would you watch? Would you still watch live? Because I love the chat room. I love when I do something wrong. I love when they break my balls in the chat room. Like, I don't know if you listened to the last week's episode because it came out late.
Yeah. I was
at the very end. I put, when Jerry and Dave, the producer, were openly just busting my balls in the chat room. I was just, I started talking about it.
You couldn't read a damn thing to save your life last week.
I have to go get glasses because here's the thing. I have glasses for distance,
mm-hmm.
and if I put them on, it's worse.
Well, duh.
All right. So I have to make things bigger because everything's a little bit blurrier.
Or just get reading glasses like I use.
Reading glasses don't work. I don't know why.
A pair of cheaters don't work?
No, they make it worse. So I don't know. I have to go get glasses.
You just got to find the right magnification, probably.
I try. I mean, I was in the store. I went in the store and I'm putting these stupid cheaters on, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, 2.25, and nothing seemed to make anything closer.
Maybe you need a microscope.
Like everything's blurry. It's like everything's blurry. Like if you made it bigger, I could read it.
You know what? You may not, that might not be your issue. Maybe you have cataracts.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm a fan of a Rink Continental myself.
No, it sounds like if that might be your issue.
Please.
If the cheater glasses aren't helping you out and everything's still blurry and fuzzy, you might have.
Well, then we must go to the eye doctor and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, you might want to check that out.
Because
the last time somebody told me this, and I said, you probably have cataracts. And they went, no. And it was a young person. No, I'm too young for that. And he went there and he said, yeah, you got, and there's a medical term for it. And they had young person's cataracts.
So then he had to have them operated on?
Yeah. And it's no big deal. Now they do one lens and then you wait 2 weeks and then they don't want to do both eyes.
Yeah, next thing you know,
you're totally screwed. You can't do nothing.
I'm trying to read with a white cane and a tip on the screen.
Yeah, they do one eye at a time, and then
that's a good idea.
Yeah, you might want to check that out.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go. To the eye doctor.
Yeah, you might. That's what it sounds like. When you look at lights, do you see like a halo around the lights, or not all the time, but when you're driving at nighttime, or
sometimes
you might have cataracts.
Oh no, falling apart.
Yeah.
So
put a bullet in him.
Shoot him. He's done. That fucking guy. That's it. So back to net neutrality.
Right.
So I go into Facebook, and there's a guy who's part of Libsyn. He's a big deal. His name's Rob Walsh, and he's a big deal at Libsyn. Mm-hmm. He's one of the faces of Libsyn. He's a podcaster, and he's like, really, you should read this article, read that article, and it was almost like someone had the clouds had parted and the sun had come out, and I felt like I was, I guess, for the sake of what I felt like I was enlightened. Mm-hmm. So then I go, okay, let me read what he's got. So I go to this website. I never heard of these people before, and I'm like, what the fuck are these people? What's this guy an expert from? Then another guy comes in, he goes, well, I wrote a blog, and I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so what? I wrote, you want me to write a blog? I'll write a blog. I'll write a blog. Does that make me an expert? Doesn't make me an expert.
What's he have a degree in?
Bullshit. Yeah. He's got a degree in bullshit.
Why should I talk to you?
Right. So I was like, well, listen, why don't we here's the deal. If they do this and all hell breaks loose, they can always go back and reenact any kind of laws. Mm-hmm. There is no laws really for the internet. There is nothing that's
why
regulated.
It's as great as it is in this country.
Okay. So now everybody's losing their mind, and I'm in there.
But notice who's losing their mind.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Mm-hmm. By saying this, I don't know what affiliation they are. I have no idea.
Generally, they're a little left.
Okay. So I know. Anything left for you is ridiculous. You can't handle any kind of liberalism.
Yeah. Well, because first of all, if they're screaming and wringing their hands and pulling their hair, then pretty much everything is okay. And also, if they're that invested in it, what do they have to gain out of it? Well, it's because they can control the message. That's what it's all about. I read a book about this about 3 or 4 years ago when they were still talking about this. They enacted them. They enacted to adopt them in 2015, but they never went into effect. And all the Trump administration did was say, "No, we're just not going to do that." They didn't repeal anything. They just decided not to enact them.
So I got to tell you, I love the way Jen Briney presents the topic,
mm-hmm.
and I love the way she did the whole episode. So I say, if you want to know, her stance on net neutrality and why I've did a complete 180 on it, go listen to the Congressional Dish,
mm-hmm.
the episode on net neutrality. It's about 2 hours long,
mm-hmm.
and
it's a pretty complicated topic.
Well, not only that, but she brings in like C-SPAN, like the people talking about this and that, and it's really, really eye-opening. So anyhow, so I'm in there, and I just decided to be a kinder, gentler John in the chat rooms until I get attacked. Because once I get attacked,
the gloves come off.
Then the gloves come off, And then the other thing.
How long did it take before you were attacked?
I was attacked immediately.
Exactly.
Immediately. Yeah. But see, here's the thing. I'm no pussy. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, well, he said this and I was attacked and I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I stand my ground. I'm like, okay, I might be wrong, but I'm going to put my opinion out there. And at the end of the day, we might just agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. But you're going to hear me, and I don't have any problems listening to you. So the one thing that I said was, what I don't like is that in this area, a lot of this area here, you either have Comcast, that's it, Comcast. Now, I'm lucky. I have both Comcast and Verizon.
Right. You got above ground utilities, so you can get the access to the Verizon. I can't. I'm stuck with the evil empire.
Exactly. I don't like that. I think there should be competition. Mm-hmm. I think that the wires should be able to be rented at a reasonable rate by somebody else, and they should be able to use those wires to be able to bring content into your house. Okay? And let them compete for it. So that's how I feel about it. So this guy says, well, that's false. There's more than one provider everywhere. That's false. There's no such thing as just having one provider. And I said, dude, first of all, how do you know where I live, number one? Mm-hmm. And what, am I lying? Mm-hmm. He goes, zip codes, please. Okay, jerk off. Here, give him 3 zip codes. So now I know in Mullica Hill, it's all Comcast. Mm-hmm. And in West Effort, there's some Verizon, but some can only get Comcast. Mm-hmm. Verizon's in a very limited spot.
Right.
So he says, okay, I just looked it up, and it says you can get Comcast, Verizon, Dish, and some other satellite. I forget what the other one is. DirecTV. And I said, well, first of all, DirecTV and Dish, it's apples and oranges. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. They're not compliant. They're not compatible, or there's not. What is it when two things are not the same?
Incompatible.
They're incompatible. That's what I said. So
say that one more time.
They're fucker. They're incompatible. So he's like, well, that's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying you can get both. I said, well, I don't want 12 megabytes up and download. I don't want 12 up and 4 down. I don't want that. Mm-hmm. I want 100 or 75 or at least 50. Mm-hmm. In today's day and age with streaming and everything, and you should be able to have a choice between two people. And because competition is what drives down prices, makes service better, it's the American way. Mm-hmm. Okay? So then he says something else about, well, then I guess you just want the government to control the internet. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want the...
That's how you just waded in and started this whole thing.
Yeah, I said, I don't want the government in the internet. Then he said something else, and then I didn't hear from him again. Mm-hmm. So it was a Donnybrook last night on the internet because everybody was losing their shit, and they're all marching on Washington over this.
Well, Schmuck Schumer, they're going to try and use they're going to try to force a vote to override the FCC's. I don't think they have the votes to make it happen.
Let me ask you this: what keeps New York from saying that to enact a state law that if you're in your internet provider there, that you have to provide a certain? What stops the states from making their own laws over this?
To have their own net neutrality?
Yeah. What stops the states from doing that?
As far as I know, nothing. I guess.
Okay, so let New York do it. Let everybody do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't see what the problem is, but I do like the idea of utilities being able to, because right now the internet is almost as
well. That was the problem. They were trying to legislate the internet as if it was a water company or an electric company.
It kind of almost is now.
It's not a public utility.
Well, okay, so
that's what they were trying to classify it as, and that's a stretch.
I like the idea. Like if you took this township and you came in and you wired it all for 1 gig, just like Chattanooga did, mm-hmm. and you were getting $70 a household, to maintain the lines and everything, that would be one hell of a amount of money every month in the coffers of the township.
It would also attract businesses that need that kind of speed.
Look at you. Look at you thinking outside the box.
Well, I'm a conservative.
There you go.
It's all about making money.
So
in that way.
Right.
You make it attractive to attract businesses to that area.
Yeah, they would all come flying in.
Right.
You
provide that. That's like where I work. They all love it down there because it's all wide open and rural and it's all peaceful. And you know why it's that way? Because nobody wants to come here. Oh, you know why they don't want to come here? Because you don't have sewer and you don't have city water. No business is going to build a gigantic multi-million-dollar complex and have well and septic. It's not going to happen. The day they run a gas line, a sewage line, and a water main down that area, that's going to explode, and you can kiss goodbye to all those farms because that's what happened up here where you and I live.
That's exactly right. Exactly. So that was number one. Right?
You said all that.
Right.
As far as I know.
So, like I said, we all get news from where we trust. If you're conservative, you tend to go to conservative places for news. All right. I don't trust honestly, I don't trust anybody now.
I read a good I read BBC because they lean left.
I like that.
But they're not as in your face about it. The BBC now is the way the major networks were in the 70s. They were all liberal, but they were better at hiding it.
Okay.
Back then.
Right. So basically where I get my political news is from the Congressional Dish and my buddy Ben Shapiro. I like Ben. He's conservative. I don't always agree with what he says, but I think he gives everybody a fair shake. Okay. I do feel like that. So that's where I get my news. And I think that whatever party or whatever, whether you're liberal or libertarian or conservative, I think that's where you're going to get your news, and that's where your belief, you basically, when you are going to look at something, a topic or something, you don't have the information. The first thing that kicks in is your belief system. That's where you're going to derive your opinion from, your belief system. And I think that's what's going on here. And we're so far apart that, and then,
well, it's easy to get
other guy's the enemy. It's not like you can even have, like you and I, sometimes we can have a debate on issues, even though we don't align. Some things we're definitely on opposite ends of the spectrum with. But we can do that where other people can't.
A lot of times it's like, to use the gun control issue, it's a very complex issue. And using gun control as an analogy, if it's easy to demonize something that people don't understand.
Correct.
And that podcast that you listened to being 2 hours, I'm surprised it wasn't even like serialized, because there's a lot of information on that. You just can't really sum it up in like a 2-minute thing.
I think she did an excellent job.
Right.
She kept it moving.
It would take a long time to do that.
Right.
And that's what the problem is. It's easier for people that want something really, really bad to use your ignorance on the topic to get their way.
Well, I mean, even with gun control, I still think that some people need to be able to, there's some people should have a gun. If you're, a felon, if you have mental illness, if there's a reason, violence in your past or something like that, I don't think you should be able to own a gun.
And all those are laws on the books right now.
Right. But what's happening,
they always try to now we need more of those. They're repeating the laws that are already in the books.
Well, it's the same thing. Like I said, I go back to the same thing with drugs. We've had drug laws forever, and we are no closer to being drug free or what, it's still, it's a losing battle.
Well, there's a myriad of reasons for that, but that'll be
that's another one. So moving on, I think that what happens is we are now one of the acceptable groups that you're allowed to shit on. Old white guys have joined the ugly and fat people, and I think I might be all three, where you can now shit on them and it's acceptable. You can shit on all white guys because we're the reason that this has all happened. Ugly people because, well, they're ugly, and fat because, of course, they're lazy. And they should not be fat. All right. So now I get my back up in the air when I hear the thing about, well, look at all the old white guys. Like, what happened here? And here's my problem.
But they've been saying that for about 25 years.
Really? Okay. Well, then I must have missed the memo or anything.
Well, now that they've ramped it up a lot.
Oh, they've ramped it up.
Yeah.
And my thing is that women, not all, some, they're very easily offended.
Well, they drive on pure emotion.
And they love to play the victim. But honestly, if you're offended, it's on you, not me. You're the only one that can be offended. And there's no way that I can tell what's going to offend you and what's not going to offend you.
Whenever someone says that, you're having a discussion or something and they get angry at you and then they say they don't like you or that I offended them or whatever. Right. And I always tell, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Right,
exactly.
It doesn't affect me one way or another. I don't care if you don't like me or if I offended you or you feel I offended. I don't care. And I just happy asshole along my way.
Right.
Just having a good time, whistling.
So now women are entering the workforce. They're becoming more prominent in everything I have to say that, ladies, you got to toughen it up, because a lot of things that go on out here for men, I'm not crazy about either. Mm-hmm. Like, you got guys that come in and they strong arm and they're very opinionated and they try to force their opinion down your throat. But me and you, we've been dealing with this for, 40 something years.
Well,
so we don't affect us the same.
I was in sales, as you know, mm-hmm. and a lot of sales meetings that I sat in, and I had always noticed, they always said the majority rules. That's not true when you get into like a conference. The minority will rule, because what happens is you get one loudmouth, and because he's more comfortable being bombastic and speaking in a group, that he can sway the people that are like wallflowers. So you could go into like a conference of 12 people, like a jury. Mm-hmm. That's what frightens me about the legal system. And you could have like 9 or 10 of those jurors think, or people in the conference will say, well, this is what I think. But you get one guy or one woman that feels contrary to that, and she puts on a big bloviating speech and everything like that. And then the other people are like, well, I like to be popular, or like they feel that they have to be included. And those people get swayed.
Exactly.
You know, and it's truly, and then I always observed that. And then I went to college for management courses. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the first things that the professor had said is the minority rules in those instances, not the majority.
So, you know that I edit for podcasts.
Yeah,
and
really?
Yes. Yeah. I edit podcasts for other podcasters. And one of the podcasts that I edit for is it's called She Podcast. Mm-hmm. And it's has a very big private Facebook group. You can't have Franks and Beans. You can't have Dick and Balls and be in this group.
Well, as women said.
Women only, okay?
It's like rock, paper, scissors.
Right, yeah, right. Exactly. So, and the reason they don't want men in there, because they don't want to be mansplained to. Okay, fine.
What the hell does that even mean?
Mansplaining is where you take...
stupid.
Okay, so mansplaining is where you explain, like you talk down to them, and they feel you're talking down to them because they're a woman. Now, let me just say this to you. Sometimes you're trying to explain it to them, because if you try to talk to them like I would talk to you, mm-hmm. they don't get it. So you try to break it down so they understand it. Then they feel like there's a man and a woman in this room right now. Me and a woman are in this room. Okay.
You're going to explain something.
Right.
To us.
Yes.
The woman isn't understanding it, so you explain it to her. I'm not understanding it. You explain it to me the same way. Where is there a difference?
I understand that, but here's where it comes.
That's what I don't understand, this whole mansplaining thing.
So what happens if something's going on here, right? And there's 3 people in the room, me, you, and a woman. Mm-hmm. And I try to explain to you about podcast stats. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I explain to you and you understand, but she does not. So now then I turn to her and I try to explain it to her in a way that she would understand it.
Using an analogy maybe, or
something like that. That is.
You're not like saying, well, look, sweetie pie.
Right.
You're not doing that.
That is mansplaining also.
Well,
that's blatant mansplaining.
That's just insulting. That's not that's just being a jerk off.
Right.
That's what that is. I mean, if you're explaining to her the same exact way you explained it to me and she don't get it, that's my point. You know, they make up these little coddling terms to make themselves feel better.
Right. I get a text and it says, did you say call a woman a snowflake? And I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible.
Where was this at? What happened? Well, there's a woman that came in here and she said she was talking about something and a guy like attacked her and called her a snowflake. And I'm like, I don't remember. I said, I have used snowflake before. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't know. Maybe. And she's like, well, you're the editor of the show here. And, if the women get upset and all, and I said, I will happily resign tomorrow if this is a problem. Mm-hmm. But what I'm not doing is I'm not kowtowing.
Well, that's what they want.
Right. I'm not kowtowing. My opinion is my opinion.
I want to browbeat you into silence.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Right. My opinion is my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very easy for them to start yelling out misogynist, racist, homophobe, transphobe, all these terms, and brand you. And if I call them a snowflake, oh my God, you call me a snowflake. which pretty much proves my point.
Could have called you a lot worse.
Yeah, I could have called you cunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Now all of a sudden, Snowflake sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I was like, call him an idiot or something like that.
Right.
It was like, with Snowflake, you got off easy.
Exactly. So then I go in, and she finally says, "Oh, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. It was some other guy." So I'm like, okay. So then I go in, and I read it, and the guy, I could have very easily.
You sure it wasn't you? I wanted
No. I could have very easily typed in this same exact thing because she was a little uppity, and he kind of said, "Hey, must be tough being a snowflake."
Yeah.
And she went into this.
She got her panties in a bunch.
She got her panties bunched, and then she ran in and said, "He called me a snowflake."
I don't think I've ever used that term.
Snowflake?
I don't use it. It's just one term.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, evidently, if it gets a desired effect, because
it's no cunt, but it is pretty good.
Well, that's like the triple dog there in Christmas Story.
Right.
Like, John exercises a slight breach in etiquette by going right to cunt instead of calling her a snowflake first.
Exactly.
Just ranted right up.
Right. And I have fully believed that if anybody from that group ever listened to this podcast, that I would be,
but they probably
I would be ostracized.
I almost figure they wouldn't. Because, when I look through podcasts to listen to, you can almost tell 99% of podcasts just by the graphic that they use, their avatar, that it's not something you may not be interested in.
Okay.
Would you agree with that? You might not even know you might not even see the title, but you'll see the avatar.
That makes me nervous because that's the other thing is when I say avatar, it has flowers on it or something. It's like, right. But, titles and names are very important.
Well, that's what you go by usually.
Right. Exactly. Or unless somebody's told you about the show and then you go over to listen to it.
I mean, to be honest, I've listened to podcasts that have bitchin' logos, and I just didn't like the podcast.
Okay,
you can go the other way.
That's true. Yeah, you could have everything all gussied up and look fantastic. It's and you listen to it, and it's dog shit. Mm-hmm. I hear you. But then the other thing is that even if it's good, if they don't like the logo or it doesn't seem like it, if it doesn't pass the smell test
along those lines, I think women, if they looked at our logo.
Yeah, they're not coming in.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Although I look at who's here, and Mindy's here.
Hi, Mindy.
And my cousin Cindy's here.
Hi, your cousin Cindy's here.
And my friend Cece is here.
Oh, okay.
And Brian,
he's always here.
He's always here.
Yeah.
So now the next big thing that dropped this week is that now Apple, iTunes or Apple Podcast, because they were not iTunes anymore, they use Apple Podcast. They are now giving out stats.
Oh, yeah?
Hold on. Let me run off a hand badge. Stats! All right.
How will this impact?
Well, of course.
So Apple has stats.
So they come, oh my God, Apple. So they run to their keyboards and let me see what happens. And they run over and they look at their stats. And they're like, oh, okay. And what Apple's stats are is it'll tell you how long the person's listening to the podcast. Like, did they listen for 10 minutes? They listened for an hour. When did they stop? What time did they stop? They have a graph. It's great. Here's the problem. They only have stats for people that listen through the Apple iOS podcasting app.
Yeah, it's not going to, because they have that access.
Right. And the Apple iOS podcasting app that's on the iPhone blows. It's horrible. It loads late. It's confusing. I don't like it at all.
They upgraded it. I liked it better the way it used to be.
Right. So they have this thing out now. I like Overcast. I love the Overcast app. It loads faster. You can see images. It's easier to organize. I love using that. So now everybody's back on the stats ball game again. Oh, here's the other thing. It's December. So now Libsyn did their final upgrade of their stats system, their algorithm, and people have lost more downloads.
Right.
So now
nobody's
losing their fucking minds because they had 1,500 downloads and now they're at 4. And
really? That much?
Some shows are down to 4.
Wow.
So when I first started...
So I guess we're down to 2, you and me.
Yeah. Listen, how big is Canada? We get 6 downloads from Canada, and I can name every fucking person.
Right.
I know every person in Canada that downloads our show.
Okay.
Okay. So yes. All right. So, but I don't care about that. That's not why I do this. Mm-hmm. I do this for a lot of different reasons, and I enjoy it. And if I have a crowd of 100 people that want to listen to the show every week, I'm fine. I don't care. I'm fine with that. Like if every week 100 people showed up and we did a show for an hour, I would think that was fantastic. I don't need thousands and thousands of listeners. Mm-hmm. Would I like it? Absolutely. But I don't need it. That's not what I do this for. And the other thing is, when I started in 2012, Libsyn was like, they have the best, most accurate stats ever. Okay. So I'm looking at their stats and we're all like, oh, look at this. Oh, I'm up to thousands of this. And now all of a sudden, the IAB, which is the IAB, International Advertising, I don't know. It's about advertising. Mm-hmm. So they come in and now they're changing this for advertising dollars.
They don't want to pay it out.
Well, that's what they say, but they want to be able to guarantee that a download is a download and a listen is a listen. But they're not done yet. And I'll get into that in a little bit because I'm pissed. All these hosting companies are doing all these things with these algorithms and they're dropping downloads and all this other stuff for this one segment of advertising. So what happens is, let's say you and I, our show gets in a month 3,000 downloads. And we go to an advertising company and they say, hey, listen, HelloFresh will give you $25 CPM, which is $25 per 1,000 per episode for a mid-roll read, which is about a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. So then I do a minute and a half of
mispronouncing their product.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So I do a horrible read for them. And for that, I get $25 an episode, or 25 times 3. So $75 an episode for a month. What's that? $300.
4 episodes a month.
$300.
Right.
So for $300 right now, HelloFresh owns a piece of me. If I fuck up their thing, I'm not paying you. If I do this, I'm not paying you. If I mention a competitor. Right now, I got to do all this dancing and willy-wallying around over this stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to podcasts, you know it's the same thing. Zip, Recruiter, MeUndies, Casper Mattress. You know, these are the people. HelloFresh. Mm-hmm. These are the people that advertise.
Sheet company.
Bolden Branch.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these, they're all the same. For $25 CPM, I'm going to let these fakakfa people, these people come in here and change the whole way we do podcasting, the whole way they were looking at downloads and all this other bullshit they're doing. And podcasters are losing their shit over all this. Mm-hmm. For what? For us. And not everybody uses that to make money in podcasting. Some people have podcasts about weight loss or something. They might sell a book, okay? And that's how they make their money, all right? They don't even use advertising. The Congressional Dish, she doesn't want to have beholden to advertisers and
yeah, she's taking more of the Consumer Reports aspect.
Right.
That's why they don't have any advertisers in that magazine.
She is completely, she's like unbiased. Public television. You like the show? She looks at it as like, if you go into a restaurant, you sit down, we bring you water, we bring you a menu, you want to order a drink, we bring you a drink, we bring you a meal, we bring you dessert, and all that stuff. At the end, you pay at the end, okay? If you like the meal or whatever, you leave a tip. So that's what she does, okay? So her whole podcast, and that's her job. That's her whole job. That podcast finances her, all right? And she does that all through donations, Patreon, sending in checks, PayPal. She's got like 7 different ways you can pay her, okay? So now the whole industry has to change because of HelloFresh and MeUndies and Dude Wipes and Zip Recruiter. All these companies are coming in and they want to change this. And it's for these big procasting companies who now they want to have their own apps, put their own shows on their apps, and now they want to stream. Now this is what pisses me off. Because now they're in the ear of Apple because they're a big corporation, conglomerate. Now all of a sudden they say, well, you know what? This download thing, I don't like it because how do you know who's listening? How, you could say I could get a download and they could look at download the show and they might not even listen to it. It might sit there for a while and they just look at the title and I don't want it and they don't listen to it. And how do I know that? And I'm paying good money for this. $25 per 1,000 people. Okay. So now they're going to try to change podcasting from where you download it, take it with you, listen to it when you like it, how you like to listen to it, stop it and all that. They want to start streaming it. Like they're trying to turn podcasting into radio.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, fuck you. We had this going from the beginning. This is our sandbox. Go start your own sandbox. Mm-hmm. Go start streaming internet over there. Go do your own damn thing.
Yeah, let the market decide.
Let the market decide. But what happens is, some people are making money through podcasting, through this CPM method, and they don't care if who they sell out to or what they're doing, that now all of a sudden they're going to change everything. Because we're not changing. We'll still download.
Don't go changing.
No, we're not going to change. You're going to download our show. And again, let's say I'm going to stream. So that means I got to use data. And I don't care because I have unlimited data on my phone. But if I try to drive from here to the shore, how many times do you think my signal's going to drop out? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, don't you ever lose the signal on your?
No.
You don't do streaming, right?
No. You mean when I listen to a podcast?
Right. You don't stream it.
It never drops. No.
Yeah, because you download it and it's in your phone and it's playing from your phone.
Right.
But you think if you try to drive, you ever hit a dead spot on your phone when you're driving and all of a sudden your call drops? Or
no.
Never.
Verizon, they have the best coverage.
Okay.
No, honestly, I have streamed Ben Shapiro when he goes live.
Right.
Because you get the little alert, Ben Shapiro is live now.
On Facebook or something like that.
Right, and then I'll
listen to it. Okay.
But around here, we're packed with, I haven't been elsewhere to test that. I'm sure it happens.
Right, so.
But up here where we live, we're surrounded by dishes and ping towers. And
so my thing is that I just don't want to I don't want that to happen. I don't want that part of the show or, our show. And I don't give a shit about stats. I barely, when I look at the stats? When I upload the show. Mm-hmm. Once a week, I go in to upload the show and I look at the stats. I'm like, how about that? Oh, we had a good week. Or maybe I should try to change that title or do something else. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they didn't like that show or something like that.
Maybe it was Christmas.
Or maybe it was Thanksgiving or maybe they were, who knows?
That makes a difference.
Right. Do I care? I don't care. But what I don't want is these big companies coming in and just changing everything. Who the fuck are they? Podcasting has been this way since 2005, and now they're going to come in and change everything? Bullshit.
It could happen because they got the money. So
right, and I don't care. Again, I don't care about.
They can maybe
stats.
Not change it, but they can alter it somewhat.
Right. I do this for fun. We have a good time, therapy, and it also teaches me things. Like last week, when I decided to try to do a different Facebook Live thing, I learned that.
What happened with that?
Okay. Here, so let's get on.
I went home. It disappeared. I was like, what the?
Okay. So using this for the first time, I had no idea when it started the audio, they could hear the audio. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I put my phone, I put All Along the Watchtower on.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? A minute and a half of it? Facebook picked that up and says, you've used All Along the Watchtower by whoever did the song. And if you don't have the license to use that, then delete it. But if you do have the license, click here.
Provide
the information. Well, I can't provide the information. So there it sits. I can't even download it and take out that little bit of music and upload it again or use it.
In there?
In the very beginning.
I don't remember hearing it.
Because it was in the very beginning, there was like 2 minutes where the marker was up saying episode 75, getting ready to get ready.
Oh, and you didn't push the record button in time.
No, what happened was it says in 3 minutes it's going to go live.
Right.
At that point, that placard went up. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure if they could hear us. And I played that to see when the audio came in. I did that on purpose. I guess I could have played, I don't know, Benny Hill or, something.
You mean yakety sax?
Yeah, something like that.
That's what that's called.
Okay. And it just took that. Matter of fact, we were watching it. Remember? We were watching it, and all of a sudden it went, boop. I was like, what happened? Where did it go?
Oh, they pulled it down then?
Yeah, that's when it was pulled down. That's how fast they pulled it down.
I thought it was pulled down after we had finished and we were out of here.
We were watching it. You and I were watching it after we got done.
Yeah.
We were sitting there watching it.
That's what I mean. And after that. Because when I went home, what's it, like a 20-minute drive to my house from here?
Yeah, it was gone.
I was like,
where is it?
Yeah, I wanted to read the comments.
Right. The whole thing gone.
Poof.
So you can't use any music.
Yeah.
That's the end of that. And
so you learned that.
I learned that. I learned you don't do that.
Won't do that again.
Won't do that again. Again, if we're talking about podcasting and media and downloads and all that other nonsense, I just say, let's do the show. And not that I don't want to see audience growth. I would love to see audience growth. And, hopefully we'll continue to, do better shows or get into a groove or something like that, or people start to listen to it, or maybe we got to advertise a different way, or maybe I got to use social media a different way. That's I think our Achilles heel is we don't use social media well. I don't.
I don't know. I see you on there all the time, so I don't.
Well, yeah, but I don't like. I see people that do like Dave from Bad Cop, and
Doug.
You know, he's on there all the time. But then you think it's him all the time, and it's not. It's people that are retweeting his stuff, and that's why you're seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it's something we can look to in the future. You know, to build audiences. But basically, you know, what I need people like Brian to go in Canada and say, hey, listen, you got to check out these guys. They're crazy. You know, you got to check them out. And then maybe we'll get 8 downloads from Canada, and I won't know 2 of them. They'll be Brian's friends or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
they might friend you later.
They might friend me later.
And look at you.
Right.
2 more people you can piss off and offend. And
yeah, I can. I'm sure I'll offend them. It's not like I didn't, you know, like with the lady, the Dirty Clam doctor, you know, when they came in, I knew we weren't going to keep those people.
Yeah.
But still, it was fun to watch watch the downloads and the click throughs.
That whole thing is still blows my mind.
Oh, I know.
I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to, for as long as it took to do that artwork to get that response.
Well,
10-minute art.
I think the title, yes, that was good.
Yeah, because the artwork, she found that just as offensive as you tagging her in the title.
In the title. Smelly clam, oh, smelly clam. I think that probably went up her ass like a open umbrella.
And then Dr. Lancelot or whatever the hell.
Yeah, him. Yeah. He came over and, you know, it made it very enjoyable. It was fun. And speaking of people that we don't know that send us stuff, we got a story. It's from Matthew Perry from the UK, and he sent this to us. He says, I would love to hear you and Deuce's take on this. Child traumatized by shopping center's reindeer decoration in Christmas grotto. You know how you have like a deer and you shot a deer back in the day and it was
stuffed and mounted
on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So a mother forced the removal of a plastic reindeer head from a Christmas grotto at a shopping center after her son was mortified.
Oh, it's a plastic. It's not even a real
It's not even a real deer's head.
Wow.
See, now this is where I would get in trouble because what I would do is
that would be the reindeer that didn't work out for Santa.
Right.
It's venison tonight.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You know, they don't all make it.
You got to have tryouts.
Sometimes they call the herd.
Yeah. They had to have like 100 of them. They picked those 8.
You know what I would have done if that was me? If I was the manager and she complained, I would have took that thing and I would have brought it back in the office and I would have hollowed out the nose and I'd have put a red bulb in there.
Right.
And I'd have turned the red bulb on and I'd have put underneath of it Rudolph.
Yeah, just like decorate. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah. So anyhow.
You want to attempt to read this or you want me to read it?
Actually, the font is rather large on this one, so let me take a shot. A shopping center has apologized and pulled a reindeer decoration from its Christmas grotto after mortifying child asked whether it had been killed. How many plastic reindeers do you see running around? Mother.
How old was this kid? Real young?
Let's find out because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Adine Keene forced the removal of the decoration, a plastic reindeer head mounted on the wall, from the festive attraction at the mall shopping center in Maidstone, Kent, after complaining on social media. Kent Online reports her son had been left traumatized and even asked whether Santa had killed his reindeer. Mm-hmm. She added, I tried to move on quickly so he was not too scared and his Christmas reindeer beliefs weren't crushed. Another less than impressed shopper tweeted that the display was inappropriate. So what about the other ones, the reindeers that are made out of sticks and they're all full of lights? Does that bother you?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, or the way Genghis used to put them up to just piss my mother off, so.
She, put one hump in the other?
Yeah, exactly. And she would fall for it every year, like, hey, Trude, now look at this. And she would go out and she would look out the window and yell at my father. You know, you think after about 13 or 14 years in a row, they pick it up.
Never gets old.
No, and it was always funny.
But although the shopping center had taken the decoration down, it said that it had been put up to complement the fundraising grotto's medieval theme.
Yeah, I see it's on a castle.
Right. Marketing manager Susie Brindle told Sky News each year the grotto features a different theme, and this year the medieval castle and the plastic deer's head formed part of this. Having heard that the display was causing concern, we took steps to remove the decoration after opening hours, which complies with health and safety regulations. We apologize for any upset caused.
Health and safety regulations? What the hell?
I don't know. The shopping center's annual Christmas grotto has raised more than £200,000 for various charities, and other visitors have been less than impressed by the need to alter the attraction just over a week after it opened. One woman posted on the mall's Facebook page, she doesn't need to shatter his dreams, but take personal responsibility for explaining it rationally, insisting it taken down as a sign of a daft PC society that we live in. Yeah. Why don't you just tell your kid, hey, stupid, it's a plastic reindeer head.
Yeah,
okay?
Sand it in. That's all it is.
It's not even a real reindeer.
You know how many times I saw stuffed animals, as a kid?
All the time.
I mean, you'd go into like a restaurant, there'd be like a stuffed
elk,
wolf or elk or bear or something like
skunk.
That. Yeah, and it's just like, as a kid, I was kind of like, well, that's kind of neat. Yeah,
it's kind of neat.
It was like, I never felt like, no kids that I ever grew up with.
It's the pussification of the population. We're turning into a population of pusses.
Well, it's like Joe always used to say, there's people that aren't happy unless they're offended by something.
Yeah, they always need something. What was it? They always they need an axe to grind, or they always have to.
A wrong to right.
Right. Yeah. They're just a hammer looking for a nail.
Yeah, a solution looking for a problem.
Exactly.
Well, where I work, we got lots of that. Because they got, hey, if we can get a bonus out of this, the management end of things. So they'll propose something inane like this,
right?
Taking down a plastic reindeer head. It really doesn't look that out of place.
It doesn't.
When you think about it in this picture here.
What if it was a bull?
What about the giant mushroom? That didn't inspect her?
No.
That's okay.
Right.
What does a mushroom have to do with Christmas?
Well,
I mean, you could just grab straws at anything and be offended at anything. Actually, it looks kind of like a nice display.
I like it. I wouldn't even thought twice of it. I would have thought it was.
I would tell you the truth. I didn't even notice it. If it weren't not for this story and you have to read about it. And that's plastic. It looks pretty real.
It's plastic as plastic gets.
Yeah, it looks pretty real, though.
You know who else got in trouble on social media? Remember Jose Canseco?
Oh, the Oakland A's.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he's with a couple of teams. Steroids, anyone?
Yeah. Former MLB stud Jose Canseco will not see his contract renewed for the 2018 season with NBC Sports California after firing off some politically incorrect tweets about sexual assault on Tuesday. I guess he had a couple pops, a few drinks.
Mr. Small Balls?
Right.
That's what Madonna said about him.
Madonna?
Yeah, she used to date him.
Right.
Because she had a thing for, Spanish dudes.
Wow.
And, it's...
dudes in general.
Yeah, well, but she really liked the Spanish dudes. She used to drive around in her limo and, Spanish neighborhoods and pick them up and all that stuff.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She was a real whore. But,
okay.
Just willy-nilly picking men up in a limo. Come on. But, she had said in a I don't know, an interview or something like that, because he was big on the juice.
Right, he was on steroids. He had tiny nuts.
Yeah, because they just wither away like,
He had a baby little nutsack.
like raisins.
Well, I'm sure he's off the juice now.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if his nuts came back.
Care less.
You don't really care?
Yeah,
it hasn't bothered you?
No, don't really lose sleep about that one, John.
Okay.
Go sleep like a baby.
Sometimes I ponder.
Last night I slept like a baby. I shit and pissed myself all night long.
Canseco sought to weigh in on the growing movement of women speaking out about sexual misconduct by telling the world that it's a turn-on when women molest him. He also highlighted what he calls racism against ugly men. Here are the tweets.
Well, wait a minute.
What?
I think racism is the wrong word there, but...
Let it go. Let it go. He's on a roll. Here are the tweets which Canseco has since deleted. See, you can't delete them because once somebody screenshots it...
Oh, that's it. It lives on forever.
It lives on forever. What's going on with all these politicians molesting women? I've been molested by several women and never complained. Jose Canseco, at Jose Canseco.
He had to be high as a kite.
Wait.
He had to be drunk or high as a kite to tweet that out and think that nothing was going to happen.
Well, I mean, I've been beaten by women, taken advantage of by women, molested by women. I never complained. It was kind of a turn on.
No punctuation whatsoever.
That's
that's the longest run-on sentence I've ever seen in my life.
At at Jose Canseco.
December 12, 2017.
I see the difference, I guess, because I was a good-looking guy and these politicians looked like a bag of boogers.
Wow.
At Jose Canseco. December 12th, 2017.
Yeah, he was really tearing it up.
These women complaining against sexual misconduct are just racist against ugly men. At Jose Canseco. Yeah. December 12th, 2017.
I think Jose Canseco wanted to use the word prejudice. Deuce at Brand X.
Grammar Nazi.
December 15th, 2017.
As reported by CBS Sports, NBC Sports California has announced that he will no longer appear on their television station as part of their Oakland Athletics coverage. Canseco, who spent 2 stints as an outfielder for the A's, spent this season working as a studio analysis for the station's pre- and post-game coverage. Though he had not yet officially signed his 2018 contract, he was expected to return in the same role. NBC Sports California states Jose Canseco is no longer an employee with NBC Sports California. His agreement with us ended after the 2017 season. We certainly don't agree with his comments, which do not reflect the values of our network or our team partner.
However, Matt Lauer, you can just go and molest as many people as you want.
Right.
Yes, that's what I like, the hypocrisy there from NBC.
The A's also distanced themselves from Mr. Canseco from the Oakland A's at Athletics. We are disappointed to learn of Mr. Canseco's statements. Mr. Canseco is not an employee of the Athletics, and his statements do not reflect the values of our organization or of the most trusted partners. Canseco was...
I just read that. I'm like, wow.
Canseco wondered aloud on Twitter why anyone cares about his tweets at all. Why is everybody so worried about what I'm saying? I'm just a simple guy trying to pay my bills.
So he's doing the Kathy Griffin.
I've been tiny blackballed.
So evidently he wasn't very prudent with his money, and now he's trying to pay his bills.
Sure.
He was a pretty big star in baseball.
Yeah. After deleting the tweets he posted, OMG, my latest tweets were supposed to be funny and entertaining, not to be taken seriously. They've been completely blown out of proportion. I'm getting even calls from Japan because of that. I deleted them. I apologize. Again, and I'm just reading it.
There's no punctuation in this at all. No, it's just
nothing.
It's like he's like he translated directly from Spanish into this.
Right.
It's just like there's nothing there.
OMG, my latest tweets were supposed to be funny and entertaining, not to be taken seriously.
Wait a minute.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
OMG, my latest tweets were supposed to be funny and entertaining, not to be taken seriously. They have been completely blown out of proportion. I am getting even calls from Japan because of that. I have deleted them. I apologize if someone took them way too seriously.
Jose Canseco. Jose
Canseco. The former NLB star also told the San Francisco Chronicle that the posts were merely written in jest. If people can't take a joke, that's ridiculous. What I'm saying really has no meaning. Those tweets don't even make any sense. They're just a bunch of riddles.
There's punctuation in that, so it looks like he must have had a ghostwriter for that one.
Should I read them Should I read them as Jose Canseco from the beginning? Here we go. Here are the tweets that Canseco has deleted. What is going on with these politicians molesting women? I've been molested by several women and have never complained. Well, I mean, I've been beaten by women, taken advantage by women, molested by women. I've never complained, but it's kind of a turn on. I see the difference. I guess because I'm a good-looking guy that these politicians look like a bag of boogers. At Jose Canseco. These women complaining against sexual misconduct. They're just racist against ugly men. I mean prejudiced. At Jose Canseco.
Yeah. Wow, I was like, what did he think was going to happen?
Again, he's sitting there, he had a couple drinks,
drinking the tequila.
He's sitting there, he's like, oh, this is going to be so funny.
Oh, watch this.
And then, of course, he tweets it, and all of a sudden you see the mentions, like...
Yeah, the comments.
Yeah, it's like, all of a sudden...
Snowballs.
It starts snowballing. Oh, they're all... they think it's very, very funny.
Hey, do you think, that guy there, he put a lot of offensive tweets in there. Hold my tequila.
I'll be right back.
He's eating the worm.
Yeah.
Going right there.
So, Jose Canseco's looking for a job.
Yeah, well, he's pretty much shit out of luck. He'll be back in a couple of years.
Yeah,
People forget.
Yes,
that's what winds up happening.
All right. I need a breath for this next story. This is going to be a long one.
Uh-oh. That's what she said.
Ooh. This entire family is transgender.
I saw this just as I was packing up all my gear at work. I got to the headline and the spooky picture, and that was it.
All right. So this is where I believe that transgender is a mental disorder. And if you don't believe it is, listen to this story. It might change your mind. A local news station in Arizona ran a glowing piece on a family that's in transition. No, they're not moving from Arizona to California, as in the entire family, including 2 young children, are all transgender. Daniel Harrett, the father of the family, is a 41-year-old biological female who identifies as a man. Now, if you're following along at home, you might want to take out a piece of paper.
You need a scorecard for this.
Okay? You might need a piece of paper.
My head hurts already.
It feels like you're getting to live for the very first time, Daniel told the news. My children are getting to be who they've always wanted to be. Daniel's 11-year-old Mason and Daniel's daughter, Mason, an 11-year-old biological female, identifies as a boy. And his son, Josh, a 13-year-old biological male, identifies as a girl. Confused yet?
How would they know? I mean,
how would they know? They're watching their parents run around with all this fakakva bullshit.
Well, when kids are, it's a confusing time.
Sure,
for
they're
a lot
fucking
of kids.
these kids up.
Yeah, that's like child abuse.
It is child abuse. Josh says he thinks he was only like 6 or 7 when he knew he was a girl. Harriet's fiance is also transgender. Now, where the fuck Harriet came from?
Where did these crazy kids meet up at?
Shirley Austin, a biological male described as a tall, blonde, and smiley, claims to be a woman. The whole family is in transition. Daniel realized that he was actually a man after he gave birth to 2 kids.
Because men generally give birth.
Jesus Christ, is this ridiculous?
Is this like... Well, yeah,
it's not... Yeah, I know you thought it was fake news, but it's not.
I see it's from the Daily Wire, so it's legitimate.
Here's the moment Daniel knew he was trans. Then, just last year, Joshua wanted to join the Girl Scouts, despite being raised a boy. That's when Daniel was introduced to the world that he had never heard of before. Transgender. Dun, dun, dun. And when I finally looked it up, I realized, oh my gosh, they're trans. And I know that's true, because I am too. And it's been my whole life. The young boy then followed his father, in parentheses, question mark, footsteps, and came out as trans too. Mason soon followed, identified as a boy. Daniel knew to protect and support his kids, he had to live in his authentic self too. So he cut his hair and went shopping in the men's section. I opened my eyes and looked in that dressing room mirror and went, hey! This is it. This is it's me, said Daniel. Daniel then met Shirley, 62, at a nonprofit for transgender youths, adding the 4th transgender to the family. Wait a minute. Where's the mother?
The mother
or the
is
father.
The biological
there's a
guy
parent,
is
there's
the blonde that looks like Herman Munster.
Lily.
The dude's a brute, man. But he's the one that identifies as a woman. And the other one with the...
he actually looks like...
With the Pizza Hut tablecloth shirt on.
Right.
That's the woman who went to the men's department and is ecstatic.
Right. Yes. Hi, vey.
She looks like Pat from Saturday Night Live.
Looks like Steve Perry, if Steve Perry had blonde hair.
No, I'm talking about the one in the Pizza Hut tablecloth pizza.
Yes.
That looks like Pat. That old routine from Saturday Night Live, like 20 years ago. That's what she looks like.
Absolutely.
It's like a chick pretending to be a dude.
So when are we going to stop this nonsense? Like, what do you do? I mean, how confusing is this? Trying to do pronouns as a kid in school when I was, when there was only male and female, was
he,
tough.
She,
her,
his.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Now, it's ridiculous.
Well, I wouldn't even engage in that. I prefer to be called, I'm calling you girl or boy.
Right.
I'm not going to buy into your dysphoria.
Well, they say that is an attack.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Everything's an attack. Just because they're insane doesn't mean I have to buy into their mental insanity.
Of course, while this profile on transgender families is meant to showcase some sort of new age love and tolerance, it's void of the realities facing trans folks, particularly children who suffer from gender dysphoria. The National Center for Transgender Equality survey, which looked at the largest sampling of transgender people ever, found that an alarming 40% of trans people have attempted suicide, compared to just 4.6% of the general population, and 30% have experienced homelessness.
Mm-hmm. Well, they can't pay their bills when they're transgender?
Would you hire that guy that's got the long blonde hair?
That aspect doesn't bother me. I mean, if the person was a good worker, it's just, the whole foisting this on the kids.
Yeah.
That's where I see the real crimes here. I mean, these two so-called adults, if they want to do that, if that's what turns them on and they like that, and all right. But, what they're doing to those kids.
Yeah.
These kids are, I hope I'm wrong, but these kids are in for a lifetime of therapy. What you want to do in your private life, I don't care, like I said, but.
When you drag kids in and change them and...
Yeah, because this is going on a couple of years, so what are these kids, 11 and 13?
Mm-hmm.
So these kids were 11 and 9.
Right.
When all this started.
What happens is you might end up like this next story. College student arrested, tried to trade chicken Alfredo and Sprite for sex.
Well, look at him. You know what he looks like? Did you ever read the newspaper comics?
Yes.
Did you ever read The Far Side?
Yes.
Like every kid that Gary Larson drew in The Far Side, that kid with the chubby kid with the glasses and the short hair, that's who that is.
Yes, it is.
That's who it looks like. In orange, very flattering.
Youngstown State University student Albert Mariuga was caught red-handed and arrested this week after he allegedly attempted to have sex with a 15-year-old boy who turned out to be an undercover officer.
Wow, he must be a really young-looking officer.
Yeah. Well, I guess they did, on the internet. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forget those stings. What's the name of that dude that used to wait in houses?
Hanson. What was his first name?
I forget.
Hanson.
That was the most uncomfortable show to watch sometimes.
He would walk out and it's like,
hello.
Hi.
Oh.
Charles Hanson? What was his name? I can't think of his name now.
Is that show still on?
No, not really. Everybody's screaming at their podcast catcher right now. They're all screaming the name. What's his name? I know it's...
Yeah, well, why don't you look at the chat room? They might be helping you out.
Are they helping me out?
Flagrantly disregarding.
No one's watching us. They're all out sledding.
But yeah, sometimes that show is very uncomfortable to watch. Because he would whip out the transcripts. Well, you said here. What exactly did you mean by that?
Right. The one time the guy comes in.
The deer in the headlights look like.
Right. And he comes in and he gets naked. And all of a sudden.
I never saw that one.
Oh, yeah. He walks in, he takes all his clothes off. He said he puts, I guess he had a bottle of wine or something. He puts it in the refrigerator. He takes all his clothes off, and all of a sudden, here comes
Mr. Hanson.
Mr. Hanson around the corner. Hello. I was like,
I guess it's hard to keep an erection when that happens.
Ooh. Yeah. I can imagine. None of this. More like this. That's
one I never saw. That one got by the goalie. Yeah. Now I have to go look at that. I have to search for it on YouTube. Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen!
Connecticut, and this 40-year-old guy thinks he's going to cuddle in bed with a 18-year-old girl named
Hello.
But in a few minutes, 40-year-old John DuPay will find out that this hookup has no happy ending. DuPay is the latest monster we've caught in our all-new investigative segment, Hansen vs. Predator. We're working with the Fairfield, Connecticut police and the online
the science fiction
Predator. They post profiles on apps.
That Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Innocuous pictures of actual underage girls. We're protecting their identities. DuPay contacts not one, but two of our decoys. One we'll call Brittany and the other Bailey, hoping to strike up a sexual relationship. This phone call will creep you out.
Hello. Hey, you. Hey, baby.
He appears to be so desperate, he would risk a long prison sentence for a night with a 13-year-old. The text messages he sends are even more disturbing. He calls the youngster baby. Dupay likes to be called Boo.
Oh. Hey, Boo. I'm all fresh from the shower.
I wish I smell your body, baby. Baby, I think it's going to be amazing for me and you when our bodies are touching and I'm inside you and we're kissing. OMG.
Online, Dupay uses
Yeah, I think I'm done. I'm trying to keep my dinner down now, John.
I want to get to the point where...
No.
So what do you want to do?
A hug?
I don't know.
So she leaves, and now here he comes.
Have a seat right around that stool right there in front of us. No, right there. Please have a seat. Right there. Set the phone down, please. What is your plan here tonight?
Watch football?
Hang out and watch football with whom?
With her.
Who's her?
With Bailey.
And do you know how old Bailey is?
She's 14.
14.
Mm-hmm.
She told you she's 13. Not that that matters.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
30.
30.
Dupay is lying. We both know he's really 40. And what he doesn't know is that I have all the transcripts of his sordid conversations with minors. But I'm curious to see if he'll cop to his intentions.
And why would you at 30 think it would be okay to hang out with a 13-year-old girl home alone?
I mean, we just hit it off, friends.
You hit it off with a 13-year-old girl?
We were just talking.
Just talking? Well, now you're here. This is more than talk.
I know, we just came to hang out. No, I brought...
What, get a hug?
And watch football.
Watch football?
Yep.
Who's playing tonight?
Steelers and the Ravens. I had no intentions with nothing.
No intentions of...
Nope.
So what do you do at UPS?
I was a package handler.
Package handler. You're not there anymore. What do you do now?
Nothing.
Besides go online and try to talk to young girls.
I don't try to talk to... I just try to find a girl to talk to and hang out, whatever.
And how many times have you done this with somebody who's 13, 14 years old?
Never.
Never talked to another girl who said she was 13?
No.
But we found under further.
Who's Brittany?
That was the other girl you were talking to.
You can see that. You can see his heart beating in his neck.
Within the last few weeks?
He pulls out the...
So you say to Bailey on Whisper that you're 30, how old are you? She says 13. You say, you're not 13 in that pic? Yes, I'll be 14 next month. That's pretty clear.
I like when the dudes try to run away and the cops are there waiting.
Well, again, you would think that this guy after this I'd have been like, not that I would have been there, but I'm saying if I was,
I was gonna say,
if I was him, if I was as perverted as him, and I was in that situation, I think I'd have said I would have bolted for the door by now. I'd have been. But the thing is, there's like 10 cops standing at the door. Well, that's
been tried. I've seen that where the guy goes,
as soon as,
and then like he just like does the and darts out, and then the
next
cops
thing you know,
like
they take him down like a
bringing him right in, sitting him in the stool.
Right, exactly.
The Perry Mason music starts. That was a nice tangent.
I know. Let's get back to this guy.
Yeah, Maruna IV, 22, is charged with attempted unlawful sexual contact with a minor, disseminating matter harmful to juveniles, possessing criminal tools, and importuning.
Tools.
Yeah, he said tools. Austintown police say Maruna started chatting through an online dating app with an undercover officer. They say Maruna's conversations were sexually graphic. He sent nude pictures of himself, and he set up a meeting with someone whom he believed was an underage boy. According to police, both agreed to get together on Tuesday, and Maruna would bring lubricant, chicken Alfredo, and Sprite. He's a smooth talker. Police said he was traveling to Austintown where he thought he'd be meeting the teen. When he got there, he was arrested. At the time of his arrest, police say Maruna was carrying an iPhone, a MacBook, 3 zip drives, a bottle of Astroglide lubrication, Vaseline lotion, 2 bottles of Sprite, and chicken Alfredo in a Tupperware container.
Jesus.
He was a Boy Scout. He came prepared. Maruna is currently being held in the Mahoning County Jail. And that's in Cleveland, it looks like.
No, I think it's in Ohio. Oh,
well, hey.
Hawaii. No, Hawaii. I think it's in Hawaii.
No, it says Austintown, Ohio.
I think that's Oahu or whatever. This is the articles from the Hawaii News Now.
Yes, but it says Austintown, OH, which is Ohio.
Okay.
And it's credited downloaded the Cleveland 19 News app. And
okay. You're right.
Of course I'm right.
There you go.
He bought his whole game with him.
Oh yeah. He was
raring to go.
He was gonna film.
Now, you would think after about 25 years of all these, like Chris Hansen, and you hear these stories that's how like sick these guys are, that they're willing to risk that.
Still risk that. Well, I mean, guys still see prostitutes, and look at the risk that's inherent in that little deal.
Yeah, that little.
You get something in you, on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
take it home with you.
That's why they have to do the chemical castration.
I think you're right.
Because they're never going to get better. And a lot of these sex offenders have told the authorities that don't let me out.
Right, because I'll do it again.
Because I'm immediately going to go out and do it again. But then they get some bleeding heart and, we have to get you and let them out. And then it happens. And they're all, well, how did this happen?
Yeah, they let them out.
He told you it was going to happen.
He told you he was going to do it.
Right.
You let them go.
Yeah. If you invite an alligator to your house and he acts like an alligator, you can't be surprised.
That's correct. All right, you want to do this next one? Because this is a doozy. When I first read this,
I thought this was from The Onion.
Yes.
All right, this is right out here, our way in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia City Council voted Thursday to remove bulletproof glass from the windows of some local businesses despite a backlash from the shop owners who cited safety concerns. The council voted 14-3 to approve legislation that could eventually force business owners to remove the protective glass outside their storefronts that some lawmakers believe operate as drug fronts and facilitate loitering and public urination. Okay, first off, if I can interject here, the vote was 14-3. Besides this being an obvious government overreach on what you can do in your private property, which is your business, this tells me that these lawmakers are so out of touch with their constituents and what's going on. They probably never even go into these neighborhoods.
Exactly.
Okay. And they're not all when I covered Philadelphia, I went into a lot of stores that had bulletproof glass for safety.
Yeah.
And they weren't in bad neighborhoods. They were very clean markets, clean gas stations, AM, PM markets, whatever. There was no loitering going on. There was no drug use going on. They're not all doing this.
Why don't you send the cops in to get rid of the loiterers?
Right.
The drug abusers.
I mean, it's the safety first thing. I mean, these people have been victims of crime.
When the first person to get shot, because these things are taken
if they
down
enact
and
it, I think this will get thrown out.
You do?
And I think this will go to court and get thrown out. This will be challenged. It should be challenged. The bill, which was passed by the city's Public Health and Human Services Committee, enables Philadelphia's Department of Licenses and Inspections to regulate the bullet-resistant barricades that stand between customers and cash registers in many neighborhood corner stores. The approved bill, according to Philly.com, instructs the city's department and of that department by January 1st, 2021, promulgate regulations to provide for the use or removal of any physical barrier in stores that sell food and alcohol. Have you ever seen anyone come over a counter in one of these stores?
Yes.
Okay. It's because these thieves are very athletic. They target the stores that they want to go into. If there's a woman or an older man or anyone that they can physically get an advantage over, they're over there like an Olympic hurdler.
Yeah.
I saw video footage from one store that I went when it happened, and they had to get the bulletproof glass put up.
Well, I've seen it where they have the bulletproof glass, and the guy sticks his gun through the thing and tries to shoot the guy.
Yeah.
Like ducking his hand underneath there and shooting him from underneath there.
That's why a lot of them, they do that lazy Susan thing, like a revolving door.
Yes.
So you put the money in there and you swivel it around.
Right.
And
it's like being in a zoo, okay? And you're in the zoo and you got to protect yourself from the animals that are outside. It's like when you go through the safari at Great Adventure. You're in the car, the animals are on the outside. Right. What's protecting you from being harmed is the car. And this is exactly what's going on here.
I mean, I can't believe any normal person would even consider even introducing a bill like this, let alone having to go through the channels and having it voted on and passed. What do they get out of this? They're going to have a lot of blood on their hands, in my opinion.
I was a victim of a robbery when I was 10 years old, and I don't want that to happen again, one store owner said. Another storekeeper, through an interpreter, said, Another shopkeeper, through an interpreter, said, if you took the bulletproof glass from our store, there will be more people die. Right.
Okay, so that's how it was translated. If we take down the safety class, they're not changing their business model. This is what the lawmakers are saying. They're not moving. What they will do is purchase firearms. I think that is a worse situation than what we have today, O said ahead of Thursday's vote. Councilwoman Cindy Bass, who originally sponsored the bill, said the stores, many of which are delis, are masquerading as restaurants. Last time I checked, if a store sells food, it's pretty much a restaurant.
Okay.
You know, it's like they sell almost everything you need to get high, and if they don't have it, someone loitering inside or outside has the rest. So I guess that means...
What does that have to do with bulletproof glass?
Right. Well, I guess she thinks that this is encouraging drug neighborhoods, which is like ridiculous. That's not... These people are like, this is where they've chosen to make their living. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, it's probably the only money that they could afford, that they could afford to buy in here. They're providing tax revenue to the city. It's a massive overreach, and it's dangerous.
Right.
Bass told Fox News that the store owners who reportedly operate with restaurant licenses, in more than 90% of cases, they are breaking the law in terms of operating outside the requirement of their license. So then why don't you go after that aspect? If they're, in other words, if they're selling liquor, I guess, and they don't have a liquor license, well, you prosecute them for that. What does the bulletproof glass have anything to do with it?
Nothing.
Exactly. It's just like it's nuts. I was a victim of a crime, where a guy, armed robbery, and I didn't have bulletproof glass in my store. You know, it was like, I understand why people have it.
Yeah.
If this passes, the criminals are just going to wait like spiders.
Yeah.
When all this stuff comes down, and they're going to have a crime wave in Philadelphia like Chicago's. It's just, what
it's a sin.
Yeah. I mean, these people didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
They sunk all their money into opening up a business, support themselves.
I hear you.
They're not on the dole.
Well, it looks like that's it. I think it's time to get out of here.
Yeah, it's time to get out.
Podcast shoutouts?
If you're looking for some other great independent podcasts to check out, we highly recommend these podcasts. We have the Evening Radio Podcast with Jason and Mindy, part of the Hush Your Face Network. And I see you're sporting your new Evening Radio Podcast shirt.
I am wearing it.
Yeah, it looks quite smashing in it.
Yes. Bad Cop with Jerry and Dave. No new episode this week, but I'm hopeful. Waiting for episode 101.
The Hunan with Rocky, BB, Drew, and Josh. Also part of the Hush Your Face Network.
Who's Right with Doug and Anthony, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
The Unwritable Rant with Juliet Miranda, where you can hear Juliet Miranda tell tales of her life. And did you hear the latest episode?
I did not.
Aha! You bastard. After you lambasted me last week.
Hey, at least you did a better read this time. You know what they say? Burnt hand teaches the best.
No, the burned hand teaches best. And Deuce says
isn't that what I said?
No, you butchered it up. You're all fucked up.
Okay.
Are you going to read Who's Right again?
No. Just go right over it.
You really jumped right on this list, didn't you? And corrected all the errors. 7 days later.
Just read it.
I just did the Unwritable Rant.
God, now you got to read the Bro-Rons because I got to get this. I got to change the whole thing over again.
Bro-Rons podcast, Big D and Little R, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
Pat and Meller with Matt Meller and Viva La Pedros. Looks like Matt Meller's out of Facebook jail again.
Oh, he's free?
He keeps getting, he's worse than Daniel Repholz. He keeps getting put back in Facebook jail. I think once they get down, once you get in one time, I think it's just like, oh, him again.
Yeah.
And they just, boop.
Like automatic pilot?
Yeah, basically.
The Horribly Awkward Show with Sean Fuller, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
The Rob and Slim Show with Rob, Slim, Sleepy Lucas, and Slambo sometimes. Oh, and Ryder Doll. She does the, the Urban Dictionary? She does like an Urban Dictionary segment.
What's it mean?
Where she comes in and she picks an Urban Dictionary term and explains it. Mm-hmm. I like it. It's a good little segment. She's got a cute little voice. Well, I mean, that's what she does, so.
Yeah, you're not going to get like Ross from Monsters, Inc. I'm watching you, Wazowski.
Yeah.
That's not the person that's going to do that.
She's got a perky, cute little voice.
Okay. Look at you rubbing one out.
I'm not rubbing one out. Just saying.
So on the trigger with Daniel, Mike, and C3K.
Courtney 3000.
Yes.
The story behind with Emily Prokop.
How's she doing?
I haven't seen an episode out.
Okay.
Oh, she was asked to write a book based on her podcast.
Oh, that's pretty
How about
neat.
that? That's pretty damn cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. Look at her. Stepping up to the big time. Everyone has a podcast with Adam and Brian.
So they're doing this Christmas thing, right?
Who?
Adam and Brian.
Oh, okay.
Everyone has a podcast. And they said, hey, would you like to do a part in this show? I'm like, okay. So they give me the part of the bartender. So I'm down here trying to do the reads for the bartender. They suck. They're like, I'm like horrible.
What sucks? Your reads?
Yeah, my reads for the bar. I mean, I don't know. It just was, I do them and then I listen to them. I'm like, oh my God. I try to redo them and all. And he's like, are you going to do this? I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I hopefully he replaced me, fired me, hopefully.
I would suggest liquor.
It's not a bad idea. Come to think of it.
It's like Jackie Gleason used to say. Now, it's not that I advocate drinking. It's just that it always worked for me.
I never heard that.
Yeah, he said on the Tonight Show.
Oh, okay.
With Johnny, went back when the Tonight Show was good. Entertaining with Johnny Carson on it. That's even correct. Jay Leno was pretty good. You know?
Right.
But he was an epic car guy, so
right.
Gets my vote.
Tom and Steve show. Now, they haven't had a episode out this. I think they're on every other week.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're like twice a month, every other week. We'll be looking for that one to come out. Hey, so we should talk about the upcoming holiday.
Yeah, you just read my mind.
So,
because a week from today we record on Friday, so a week from today will be the 22nd.
Right, so it would be like Christmas.
Yeah, so I say we
take 2 weeks off, but I'll put out like best of.
Well, when do we come back, on a Friday?
No.
Or do you want to relocate?
Why don't we do this? Yeah, why don't we? Because it's a little tough when you're getting down here on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
in blinding blizzards.
I like it when you're fresh and you've had sleep. You're a little bit more better.
Mo better.
Yeah. And it's tough for, you've been doing this for a while now. So we'll go back to our Monday, Tuesday
gig
where we record Monday 1 week, Tuesday the next.
We'll take off the 22nd.
Right.
We'll tape one last Friday show, which will be the 29th.
Okay. We could do that.
And then
we'll come back on
January the
8th.
Or no, it would be January the 9th.
9th. Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah. We'll do something like that.
Okay. All right, so we'll be back to Monday, Tuesdays, January 9th. You won't notice anything different.
Yeah.
We'll put it out the normal way we do.
What are you going to pull? Do you have any thoughts?
No, I got to go back and listen.
Mm-hmm.
There's some bloopers that I haven't put in and stuff like that. There might be some different things. We'll see what happens.
No bonus content.
I have some. What?
There is the lost episode number 58.
I thought I put that out.
No, you never put it out.
Really?
Nope. You've been sitting on that since
20-something episodes now.
Yeah, right. This is episode 76.
It's almost, yeah.
That's the spirit.
There we go.
So, yeah, that's 18 episodes ago.
All right, so we might even put some of that out.
You've just been hoarding that.
That's true. If you've enjoyed this show, then please do us a favor. Tell your friends. Help us out. If you live in Canada, say, hey.
That's when you did that Sad Johnny thing. After we did the episode 58, then you went down to where the convention was down the road. And you started drinking.
Oh, was that episode?
Yeah, you never put that out.
That was horrible. I thought. Maybe I'll go back and read it.
Well, you thought it was hard. Doing it live, it was,
Yeah, that's right. I went that night and immediately went over and got drunk.
Yeah, a little bit of a mess. But I have faith in you with the magic of editing that you can turn that into something.
I can take that chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad.
That's 2 episodes you could actually put out. That's less work for you. Then you only have to do one best of episode.
Okay. Well, I'll look into it.
Yeah, you should.
All right. Let's try this again.
All right.
If you enjoyed the show, then please do us a favor. Tell your friends.
Did you see the thing?
What the fuck is it with you? I know you're doing it on purpose.
I know.
Tell some friends. Help us out here. Help share the show if you like the show. Find somebody that you think would like it and just let them know about it. We would really appreciate that. It really helps us out. And you can also share this episode on your social media accounts. It's easy to do. We are on all these social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/BrandXPodcast. We're on the Twitter at BrandXPodcast, on Instagram at BrandXPodcast. Just like and follow us and share us with your friends. We would really appreciate that. And also come in and join on conversation. You can email us like Matthew Perry did at brandxpod@gmail.com, or you can call into the Time Yours voicemail, 856-322-2473. You can also call in and break our balls. I don't mind that. you just call and leave a message, and then we'll feature you in our next Time Viewer segment. I'd like to thank you so much for listening, and have a happy holiday season. I mean, if you're Jewish, you're already into Hanukkah or Hanukkah or whatever, however you spell it and say it.
Festival of Lights.
Right. And if you're someone who celebrates Festivus for the rest of us.
Well, that's on the 23rd. So.
Right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
As I say.
That's right. So I hope you have a happy holiday, and we'll see you back in the next year. And thank you, as always, for listening, and we'll see you next time on the next Brand X podcast.
Thanks for your continued support. How will this impact?
Well, of course, everybody ran to their computers, and they immediately started typing in. The fuck? I still can't find it.
They were typing in the fuck.
They were typing in. I hate myself. All right, never mind.
Wow, really? Never mind.
Well, where is it? Oh, so anyhow, stop. Stop that. Well, I got to, because I'm cutting this out, so you got to stop. Okay. So they come running in. Oh my God, Apple's got stats.
That was an accident. I swear. Sorry. So Apple has stats.
So they come. Oh my God, Apple. So they run to their keyboards.
Philadelphia City Council approves a bill to remove bulletproof glass from storefronts. And I didn't mean that to happen.
What the fuck was that?
That's because the video started playing.
Okay.
So.
Will you shut the fuck up so I can end the recording?
That's it. We're just getting into it.